It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back to Weird Week. My name is Jack DeMont. I'll be your host here with my co-host Daniel Kim. How you doing right now, Daniel?
Doing well.
Doing well. How was your week?
Been weird.
Been weird. Getting anything cool? You just doing your usual Daniel thing?
Just living weird weeks. That's the best I could put it. I don't know.
Yeah. Just branding, just trying to brand us.
Yeah.
Yeah, just weird week, man. Yeah, all right. Sounds good. My week was kind of weird. Gotta look for a new job, but stuff happens. Anyways, let's get into the news, guys. Ohio plastic surgeon is banned from practice after practicing medicine after streaming botched surgeries in TikTok.
TikTok has gone a little bit out of control, huh? Now,
yeah. It's a good way to put it, DK. TikTok has gone just a little out of control. People are so thumbing through it. She is banned specifically in the state of Ohio from practicing again. And it's because she's been filming all kinds of surgeries. She's not just filming like botched surgeries, but she's filming all kinds of surgeries. But the fact of the matter is some of them can be botched because they're finding that she's like, stopping in the middle of the surgery over and over again to like talk to the camera and like set up lights and different stupid things like that it's like, this is not a production studio, this is a hospital. You need to be properly taking care of your patients. I mean, at the end of the day, Daniel, it's a good way to start it off is TikTok is getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, which reminds me, follow us on TikTok at Weird Week. But
yeah, we're not watching anybody's surgeries with our TikTok.
We're just putting clips of ourselves. So it's like, I don't think, no harm, no foul there. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing this to the point where I think her TikTok also has like dancing in it too, but there was like a live stream. She tries to live stream surgeries and she stopped to comment and stuff like that. So that's not, I mean, when you have somebody's complication or life in your hands, TikTok is kind of put more of your focus on the patient, not TikTok.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like this is the kind
and also
of thing
I think it's a privacy concern too, because I'm not sure if the patient actually agreed to have their surgery live streamed.
Isn't there a whole doctor-patient confidentiality thing?
Yeah. So it's just not. It's not. And I think she complicated. There was issues where I think she pretty much like there was complications due to her not focusing on the surgery. So that's a big no-no.
They said that there was one woman whose intestine was perforated as a result of her surgery streamed on TikTok, leading to blood infection and severe complications that left her with brain damage. Now, they didn't necessarily say that it's because of her doing it, but that's kind of what they're implying by banning her after it happened. It's like, even if that botched surgery didn't happen because of the TikTok, maybe if you were focused, you would actually been able to like do it right. But at the end of the day, it was probably because she was on TikTok that she perforated somebody's intestine, left her with permanent brain damage. That's awful.
With brain damage?
Yeah. Burst
and
leading to a blood infection that caused severe complications and left her with brain damage.
And that is horrible. Do you think that TikTok should think of banning her or giving her some type of liability?
That's a very You know, that's a
It's
very good
it's
question.
because I'm
Like,
pretty sure TikTok bans you for some things you put out, right? Like certain content you put out.
yeah, yeah.
I would think.
That's one where it's like it's weird because I don't know how they go about doing something like that. I mean, yes, they could ban her specifically, but then they like I'm sure there's a lot of other people like Dr. Pimple Popper and stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there who have done the filming like surgeries thing and stuff. It's just like Pimple Popper is not doing surgeries that are going to like probably permanently brain damage somebody. She's popping pimples, you know, stuff like that.
Well,
Like,
I mean, you still have to be careful, but I think also like it's also a show where that doctor isn't looking at the camera and answering questions, and also there's also a production team behind it, and I'm pretty sure those people that are filmed sign a waiver
well,
saying I know I acknowledge that I'm being filmed.
well, she started out as a YouTuber and stuff that got her own show
Oh,
and things.
she actually
So
live streamed her stuff, or
I don't know that it was live streamed, but she started as like a YouTuber that got in her own show eventually.
okay,
So I'm
well,
sure, but at the end of the day, like you
mhm.
said, she wasn't sitting there live streaming, I don't think, and like answering questions live or anything. I think she was just essentially recording and giving like tutorials and talking about what she was doing while she was doing it.
Oh,
And
okay.
and
Well, yeah,
yes, of
that's
course, you
different.
still need to be an expert to do the kind of stuff she was doing because she was popping some insane pimples. I'm
Yeah,
just saying she's not trying to cut open somebody's fucking intestines while she's doing it, like at the same time.
yeah, because
Um,
those pimples are gnarly. Some of those,
like a
ugh.
pimple popping one, that girl maybe she could answer questions while she's doing it. She's not cutting open somebody's stomach. You know what I mean? Like that's all I'm
Well,
saying. Is like
yeah, but you
when
still
you're
have to be
doing
careful.
that
Yeah,
heavily of a surgery.
anything medical, you should put your full con. I don't want even with popping pimples because I mean, you can technically, I don't know, like those pimples looked like. I
Yes,
mean,
of
I
course,
don't
I
know.
agree with
That
you.
didn't look
Doctors
like
should
a
pay
pimple in
attention.
my opinion. I was like, I've never seen a pimple that big.
Um, I mean, yeah, no, they have seen the biggest gnarliest stuff on those, and they're really really gross. They just have an infinite amount of pus. It just keeps coming out, and it's just nasty. Um, I can't I can't do the pimple popper though. I can't watch that stuff. It's
Me
too
too.
much. There's
I never watched one. I've seen like the the actual pimples, but I'm just like I'm not seeing how
oh
she
no, I've watched
pops,
it.
quote unquote, these things.
I've watched it. It's just it's too much, and I don't know how people watch it over and over and over again. It's like that's so gross. It's just so gross.
I
Um,
mean, a lot of
the
things are trendy. Like people watch people eat on camera. So like it's
well, yeah, I
people,
mean,
hey,
people have
whatever.
watched people eat for a long time though.
Yeah, but I mean still like people like what they like.
Yeah, yeah.
Pimple popping is your thing, you know where to tune to. If
It's
botched
just
plastic surgery your thing.
it's just gnarly seeing like the pus and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. And like I think I've seen some where like they're so big, they're like fucking like golf ball size or like tennis ball size. They're huge in somebody's wherever. And the pimple poppers literally like got gloves on and they're like squeezing like this. They're like they've got their entire two hands around the thing and they're
Oh my
pressing
god.
with their two hands and squeezing that much. And it's just like it's
Like a
just how do you let it get that bad before you go and see a doctor or something? Like how is that like that is not something that happens overnight. I guarantee it. Like that is
yeah, no. It probably looks like
it's
toothpaste,
long
huh?
past. Why didn't you try popping that when it was a normal I guess there's probably certain things like I've had very like deep pimples, or at least like one really really deep pimple in my cheek before. There's like so deep down that there was no possibility of me popping it. And I ended up popping it at one point, trying to pop it, but what I did was just rupture it inside because it was so far in and not close to the surface that nothing happened on the outside, and I just ruptured it on the inside, and it hurt really bad, and it swelled up for a while, but then it disappeared. I went to the doctors; they were not really helpful about it. They were like, "Shouldn't have tried to fuck with it." It's like, okay, well, thanks, doc. But at the end of the
Did he
day,
live stream it?
I didn't want it to become like a pimple popper situation where they're
Yeah.
fucking popping a golf ball out of my face. No, nobody's streamed it. I tried popping it with my own freaking fingers, and I successfully popped it in my face, and it stayed popped. It popped within my face. It was pretty gnarly.
Did it spread to inside the pus?
So as far as I understand, like it had built kind of like it was like more like a cyst or something, but it started to like grow in size, so that's why I tried to pop it. And basically I heard like a whooshing sound inside my cheek, and it was pretty painful, and nothing came out of either side. And I think the whooshing sound was just like the rupturing of the sac of whatever was in there. And then like as far as I know, yeah, there's like, you know, it can kind of like there's things that I don't understand inside our faces and stuff, where if I think it eventually just like pushed its way out and down, because like I don't feel anything anymore in my cheek, like in terms of the pus or anything. I don't know where it went.
No. I mean, you're okay now, so
hopefully
we can laugh about it.
I hope it's not just sitting there floating in my cheek and I can't even tell. Yeah, that, you know, some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I don't know that TikTok should ban her, because again, there's like people like Pimple Popper who've done their own thing and stuff, I think. But maybe there's like maybe there is a way to regulate it, but I don't know that it would be done on TikTok's end. That's the thing, is like TikTok, Instagram, they don't have like these policing forces. All they can do is block, like so there's not really like a good regulating I think they can do on their end. They can't tell somebody like not to. Maybe they can make it so that people have to say whether or not it's like a medical thing that they're doing, and then like there's live chat turned off or something, so they can't answer questions, and maybe there's like certain things they can do to aid, but it's weird. I don't think they'll ban her, because there are other people that do similar stuff to what she's doing. They're just like not getting caught botching surgeries as well, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, damn, those patients that got the shit end of that stick, I am very sorry.
I mean, yeah, I feel sorry for anybody like getting the shit end of these sticks, man. Everybody's getting the shit end of the stick lately.
Well, I think like live streaming a surgery is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, if the patient knows that he or she is being live streamed and you're not looking at the chat.
Well, right, like surgery. I imagine
those two things
her,
are like the main things, main priorities there.
Yeah, like I imagine her not even having like a tripod set up or anything. Like I just imagine her having it in one hand while like the scalpel's in the other hand.
Yeah.
Phone in one hand, scalpel in the other. All right, doc, go for it. I mean, I would assume all of these patients are knocked out that she's doing this to,
which makes it even more snivelier.
Well, right,
they're just like, they don't know what's going on, and just like, wait, you live streamed this?
and I'm curious if she did get them to like sign any kind of like a form or waiver saying like they're okay with her doing that, because I couldn't find anything in the article that said whether or not that was happening. I'm sure either way she would have gotten her practice banned in Ohio anyways, just from that, just because that's like I think the right thing to do. It's the law. Like you just she shouldn't be practicing her stuff, but
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want it. Technically, I wouldn't want my surgery live streamed. Like, they would have to be some compensation, but like I definitely like would be like opposed to someone live streaming. I mean, some
Right.
people might be agree to it. Just for me,
Right.
not. I don't want it. I don't want to do it.
No, and I mean, I like maybe I was jumbling. I think I was jumbling my words a little bit there, but that's essentially what I was saying. Is like, even if they did say it was okay, like at the end of the day, it's not right. You shouldn't even be trying to like get them to sign the release and then do it. At least if it's like being done in the way that they're describing, where she's responding to chats and stuff like that. She's obviously very active on the live stream while she's doing her surgery, and that's totally, like you said, taking away from her focus. Shouldn't be doing that.
Yep, doctors, you're gonna be a star, but just concentrate on your surgeries.
I follow this one person who wasn't necessarily like a doctor, but she worked in some sort of a lab, and she just like every once in a while she would put up dance videos.
Mhm.
But as far as I can tell, she didn't do her job poorly at any point or get in trouble for her dance videos. If anything, like her coworkers danced in the videos with her.
Yeah.
And then she just like she did become a star in a sense. She got enough followers to stop having to do that work, and now she like just dances on TikTok and stuff like that. And I'm actually kind of bummed about it in a sense, because it's like I followed you because you wore like scrubs and shit and like other clothes and like a mask and like did these cool dances in the middle of like this lab. But instead, like now you're just like a dancer I follow. I'm like, I mean, yeah, you're still cool. I still like your dancing. I followed you because you were like a dance and data analyst or something.
Mhm.
I don't know, you know. But good for her to, you know, make her money and not have to do that kind of work anymore. Because that,
yeah, I followed a dentist that dances. She's still a dentist, to my knowledge. I haven't seen her popped up in my feed yet, but I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, she wasn't doing any live streams while like doing veneers or anything. I'm
right.
not to my knowledge, but like she does dance with her like fellow
Dentist.
assistants, and I think she has
Yeah.
another. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. It's something new. Like, oh, a dentist who dances. Who would have known?
Yeah.
Dentists can't dance.
Oh, what? Doctors and dentists have personalities. Lab technicians have personality. They
Say
can
what?
dance. Nice. They had a life previous to this. Nice. Speaking of having a life previous to their to another, someone leading double lives. A Florida man's double life is exposed in the hospital when his wife meets his fiance. Looking into this article, this one's a little old, actually, like a year or two old, but it's like just repopped back up into the picture, and so we're just gonna like talk about the oddness that went on here. Essentially, this woman starts to date this man. She falls in love with him. She says he's like double her age. He's like 42. She's like 20. And she says she loves him. And then he proposes, and he ends up in the hospital at some point during their engagement. She goes to the hospital to see him, and there's another woman already in the hospital with him. And then they get into an argument or discussion about who each one is. One says I'm their fiance, the other says I'm his wife, both pointing to their rings, suggesting that they have done that.
Like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, they're pointing at each other. No, you. And she you know was heartbroken and whatnot, and eventually dumped him because he had told her that the original marriage was strictly like for the wife to be able to stay in the country or something like that, and or for for his wife's son to be able to get medical or something like that. And And so she leaves him. She's like, okay, whatever. Because like this guy, he says that, but he doesn't end up leaving the wife or whatever. He stays with the wife from before for longer than the girlfriend's willing to put up with. She leaves him. She starts to see a new guy, and this new guy starts to get threats. They both start to receive threats from the first guy, the first fiance, and then like the article kind of just strays away from that like first wife and doesn't even really get into her much more, and it's all kind of focused then on like this case of where her ex-husband is threatening her new fiance or whatever boyfriend, and he's saying like he has a murder plan and it's going to be executed and stuff, and then basically she shows up at the guy's house because he hasn't been responding and he's dead, her current boyfriend, and they could like immediately arrest the ex because he had like done so many stupid things, like tell them that he was gonna fucking murder them and stuff like that. He literally he said he like drew up a plan. He literally drew one up on like a piece of paper and then threw it away somewhere nearby or like at the scene of the crime where they could find it. They're like, it's almost like too, like, this is the kind of detective work I could catch a criminal with, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? He threw his evidence in the trash that says like, I'm the murderer, here's my plan. Like, it's like, I gotcha, bud. Like,
I think he also bought a billboard for it too.
yeah, right. Like, I am the killer. Like, yeah, dude. Like, put it out there. Why don't you? So, I mean, I may have done a really terrible job explaining that. I probably just should have used names or whatever. Hopefully, you understood what I was saying. But basically,
the dude that she met was actually married, and she met the wife when he went to surgery, and things unraveled from there.
Right. But it's funny the way they pull you in with that, and then it ends up being a story mostly about like the murder of her new man.
This might be a little off the grid or a little on a tangent, but do you think that, I mean, this is a weird case scenario, but he was like 40 something and she was 20?
Yeah, he was like double her age.
Yeah. Do you think what do you think about those relationships?
I think they're weird.
Okay, because I personally, like, kudos to those people that did make it. It's just like when, like, I don't know, it's just when there's that much like an age gap, I just didn't think that, like, I don't know, I just feel like it's just weird because, like, I don't know if you talk to anybody, like, let's say your parents or somebody that's a little bit old, like has a bunch of years ahead of you, or they're older than you or younger than you. It's just, you feel a generation gap. Like, there's something that's there that you just can feel. Like if I were to talk to somebody that's in middle school today, our thoughts of thinking are different because we're, number one, obviously in different stages of our life. That's first. And number two is just like, there's this huge gap that, like, the stuff like I could relate to, like, maybe like when I was younger, he wouldn't be able to relate to. He's like, oh yeah, I read about that in our history books. It's like, you bitch.
Right.
But like, I don't know, just like, it's just, I just feel like there's, I don't know, like I said, I'm not one to forbid love on anybody, but like, it's just, to me, when I look at those couples or hear about those couples, I'm just like, how do they make it? Like, what's their communication like? It just seems so, like, I don't know, it just seems odd to me. And when I was in high school and I used to tutor like sixth graders and fifth graders, and even though there was like, what would it be, like 5-6 years apart, even then I felt like given they were probably toddlers, it's just, of course I'm gonna feel the difference of age, but like, I don't know, I just think at 20 and the dude's 40, I think you're just in different stages of your life that, I don't know, maybe just the connection, I don't know how would you build on that, even like thinking of it long term, not like, if you guys want to do a one night stand and hook up, like, more power to you. You're both adults, so consenting adults. So, but I don't know. As far as long-term relationship, it's just something that always seems like a little iffy about.
Right. Well, I totally see where you're coming from. At the end of the day, I think it's kind of I say weird because I think, like you said, there is this generational gap, but there's like it's yeah, some people like to say like, oh, they're more mature or something for their age, and so it's like the older person feels like they're able to more comfortably say that they want to date somebody at that age or something like that. But it's like I don't care if you think they're like at a certain level of maturity. It's like, how could somebody that is 20 years old, she's like not even 21 yet. She can't even legally drink in our United States of America. How can you believe somebody that is that age is like so fully matured that they like understand what they want out of their lives and stuff like that already? And like they just haven't experienced like near enough, even if they've had very full 20-year-old lives. Like, come on, you have to experience like real adulthood. And I
Exactly.
think that people that are like in their 40s that want to be with people that are in their 20s or something like that, they're either very, very manipulative, or they're like highly immature for their age, and they want to still be 20 in their heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think, and
They're also murderers, I heard. That
and they're also murderers.
they write their plans on pieces of paper.
Yeah, bruh. I have a plan. I wrote it out. I'm gonna kill you. He writes out the plan, throws the plan away at the nearby trash can.
Man, that is, I don't know. Just you're right. I mean, just life experiences. Because I mean, even let's say, just say at 21, I can attest to that. Like when I was like in my early 20s, dude, I thought I knew everything, and I thought it was like me against the world. And you later learn down life just through meeting people, working, and doing different things and having all these experiences, you realize that, oh, there's a bigger world outside of me. And also, you learn how certain things work. And because when you think you're young, you think things work a certain way. But when you go, like, let's say behind the scenes, it's just like, oh, there's a reason why this is the way it is. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, I mean, whatever that issue is, but like, it's just, you're right in saying like life experiences, there's no substitute for that.
Right. Now, if there's a 20-year age gap and she's 30 and he's 50, I might be a little more okay with something like that, where she did have like 10 more years of actual like adult life experience and stuff. Like there are certain, like, I mean, when she's like 40 and he's like 90, I still think that one's weird too. Like, so there's definitely limitations that I can withstand, but
that's even weirder too, because like if the guy or woman is 90 and you're like 40, it's like that person is like, I mean, realistically, let's just say like they're in the last leg of their life, and it's just like, okay, like
everyone knows what this is.
Yeah,
both parties know what this is.
Yeah,
everyone in the family knows what
you can't help but you can't help but have your mind go there, because it's just like he's literally you don't know when he's gonna go on to the next life. But just, I don't know, it just, I mean, maybe I don't know, it's just one of those things that I don't want to be like stereotyping, but it's just something that always because I don't know anybody personally the way I could ask these questions, but it's just like, I do see them. And also, like, I had, like, I don't know what's going on with my TikTok, but like, it's just, have you heard of like something called Passport Bros?
I've heard of it, but
I don't know that much about it too. It's just like, it's just something that I think it's popped up on my feed, and then I just clicked on the hashtag because I was just curious. And it's just like, apparently it's just these guys that go to different countries to
to hook up with
with like women that are probably like half or a third or quarter of their age, and just it's just, to me, it's just like, oh, like, we kind of know what that is. But I don't know, but I don't know that the full concept of the lifestyle of it, but it just, to me, like when you're 40 and the girl's 20, it's just I
Right.
don't know. I just feel like the conversation, there's a lot of lull in the conversation because I'll be saying something and, she's like I said, she's entitled to her opinion, but it just, I think different, like you said, experiences have taught me a lot of things at the age of 40 where I think a certain way.
Right. Even me at like 30, just trying to talk to somebody in their like early 20s is still like too big of an age gap. And I mean, it's just like, it's just weird. Like you have to at least have a few years on you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I and to your passport bros thing, I think now I heard what I had heard about it was that it is also like a thing where they're trying to find a long-term mate as well.
Yeah.
But it could all just be like that they're saying that in order to try to make it look better, and that they're actually just trying to like go and have lots of promiscuous sex with lots of women of the world.
Women of the world. Passport bro, sign me up. But no, but I mean, it's just, it's, I don't know. There was like people on the thing, they were like arguing or they're for it or against it. I just didn't get the concept of it. Generally from what I can get from it. It is, I mean, I've never heard of that term, but until I started at TikTok, but I think it's been something that has been going on. So
Right.
I don't know. It's just, ew.
Even if there wasn't a real name for it before, now they're a full conglomerate.
Yeah, but guys do get lonely.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just like, dude, I don't know. It's I get the fact that you're lonely and like you might have had a slight connection with this much younger person, but I don't know. Like you have to ask yourself, like, is this gonna work long term?
Right. Well, and the guy had a wife already and stuff. Like, what did he really think was going to happen after, like, he was going to be able to keep that double life going forever? I never understand people that are like, that start up a double life and think that they can pull it off forever. Like, they'll never find out.
I heard it was a thing back then for some people. They like left their one family to go start another family in a different state. I'm going out for cigarettes, and then just like they start a new family. It's crazy.
Yeah, my grandpa did that.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show how affordable everything was back in the day. That you can start two families.
Yeah. My grandpa did that. He started a whole new family, and my mom was only like 3 or something like that. He just like bye, Felicia. Tried to come back into my mom in our life later, and we just didn't even know the guy, so we didn't really entertain it. But yeah, I guess that was really a thing, and it happened. My parents, my mom experienced it, I think.
Yeah.
The way she talks about it, it kind of sounds like that's what she knew of it, was that he just kind of like left one day. He just was gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
That sucks. Like that's crazy. You don't.
But I mean, this guy like wasn't even.
I understand. Like, let's say you have tiffs with your wife or husband, and you want to start a new life. Yeah, that's okay. Like whatever beef is between you, is between the wife and the husband. But I think when you start involving the children, then that's when I start being like, yo, the child didn't ask for this. Just
right. And like if you're gonna split up and do a whole new family and stuff like that, then you just need to like do it the right way. You need to like have the conversations with your wife and be like, I'm not doing this anymore. You need to have the conversations with your kids and be like, I still love you and I'm still going to be in your life too, but I'm not going to be with your mother anymore. And
this is fine, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's not an easy conversation to have, but that doesn't mean like the right thing is to just not have the conversation and just dip. Like, don't do that. That's like 20,000 times more traumatic.
Yeah. And a lot of friends, I had friends whose divorced parents they communicated with although they weren't like physically, let's say, or emotionally or in love, they do still communicate with each other to like talk about the kid, like, so I think that's the correct way, like you guys still have a kid that has to have needs and like stuff like that.
And yeah. Speaking of trauma and kids, Usher's ex-wife wants to drain Georgia's largest lake where a boater fatally struck her son. Looking into this, because like this is another one where the headline kind of sounds clickbaity in the way that it's like Usher's ex-wife is so like extra. She wants to have the place drained because her son was killed there or something. But when you read into it, it says that she's like she wants it drained, cleaned, and restored so that it's safer for people on the whole later on. She's not just trying to like drain, empty, and like get rid of the lake. And that's like definitely the way they make it sound in the title.
So what was she doing? What did she want to do with the lake? Sorry, I don't know why I mumbled like that, but
she's calling for she's made an online petition to implore officials to drain, clean, and restore the lake to allow for safety improvements and removal of hazardous debris and other obstructions. Because her 11-year-old son died. After a personal watercraft struck the boy as he floated in an inner tube on the lake.
Yeah. Well, I think also like she got so far a bunch of signatures, and I think the issue is like not only the cost of doing something like that, it's also I think that lake provides drinking water, so it's like to undergo something like that, put a halt to some like a source of drinking water to some amount of people. I think that's where it gets a little debatable.
Right. It's never an easy process, and it's like
because the article makes it sound like, to be honest, like this is just my perspective on it. I mean, my condolences to the family of the lost child, and it does seem like the article does give out some impression that there is a lot of these boating accidents, but I think what you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of doing something like that, draining it because I get it. Like if something traumatic were to happen to like a loved one of mine and I want to change something, I also have to, it's kind of coming from a place of passion as opposed to like me stepping back and looking at this objectively. Is this feasible? Like to halt 5 million people from getting their it provides drinking water for 5 million people. And I'm like, hey, you 5 million people, I'm going to put a halt to your source of water because of this event. It's just kind of, it is a weird place to be in.
Well, no, right. And I mean, at the end of the day, I doubt that the petition will end up working because it does, at the end of the day, provide so much water to those people. And you can't really just like easily reroute water systems from other places to provide for these 5 million that are going to be out of water for like a temporary amount of time and whatnot. I think there are easier ways to try to clean and make the lake safer than having to completely drain the entire thing. And that's probably what they'll have to do after this petition, because clearly the petition is gaining notice. So they're probably gonna have to do something about it, or at least acknowledge it in some way, shape, or form. And I assume that would be their best way to compromise, is to be like, look, we can't drain it. We just can't. There's 5 million people that drink water out of it. So we'd have to just try to clean it some other way. Filter.
We gotta filter it nice and slow.
we have nets. Let's just drag some nets.
Little Usher song for you guys. That's the old Usher song.
Oh, is that Usher? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I got you.
But I don't know. I just think. Do you think she used Usher's name to get one of those positions? Like, somebody was like, I don't know about this. It's like, but I am Usher's ex-wife. It's like, well, in that case,
I mean, it's easy to get a petition like these online petitions. I could make one very easily, and it's a matter of just like getting the signatures and stuff. And so it's probably the fastest way, and the way that she got it, the way for her to get it done very easily was to put her name out there as Usher's ex-wife. I mean, anybody that is following her at this point probably already knew her as Usher's ex-wife, or just like whoever. She might not, maybe she's famous. I don't know who the hell she is. I'm just saying. She probably did use whatever name she has due to her previous marriage or just life or whatever.
yeah,
To garner those signatures.
yeah.
But yeah, you know who else needs signatures? The actors and writers in Hollywood need some signatures on the
Here we
dotted
go.
line, giving them their money. So what's happening now is that the SAG actors are also now striking along with the writers of the Hollywood community. This is the first time actors and writers have striked together for the first time since like 1960 or something like that. And the actors, I think, were partly inspired by the writer's strike to start up theirs. And then it's like basically the actor's strike, similar to the writer's strike, is in response to their compensation in today's like inflation, along with the way that Hollywood has changed with like streaming services and whatnot. They want proper compensation for streaming movies and TV. They want more regulations on AI and the future of AI use with like actors' likenesses, and issues of self-taped auditions. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the issues with the self-taped auditions are.
I think it's when, like, I think auditions typically is when you go into an audition room and audition. I think now that they have to use a lot of their own resources because you usually send in audition tapes. I think they want some type of compensation for that too.
Oh, okay. Because they're not
from where. Because
no longer going.
Because of COVID, I think a lot of people were auditioning. They were just recording themselves and then sending it in. So it's like a lot of their resources were used. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what that is. And I think I mean, it's so cool that I think like these two groups, like actors and writers, finally agree. These two groups agree, and then now it's like this gigantic strike.
We all want more money.
Yeah, exactly. But it is true. Like, I think there's a Drake song that was, I thought it was an actual Drake song, and it's the later you learn down the line, it's like it was made by AI. Well, the beat was made by the producer, but I think the rapping part of it was an AI. It was AI generated. So
right.
Yeah. So I think that's where that issue lies. I think it's just like, well, if I built my brand up to achieve this, and then now you're just going to use a machine to simply just use my likeness, I think every creator or artist has to have a say in it. It's just like, this is what I made, and this is what I created. I have the rights. I determine whether this should be distributed or produced this way.
Right. And I know people have like been selling away their rights to have their likeness like used by AI and things like that, but there's also people, I think Drake is one of them, that like sued over that song you're specifically talking about, because it was so close to his likeness that he was like, look, I'm not all right with it. I'm just not.
Yeah, because I
And
mean, like I said, like Drake has a certain style that he wants to rap, and if an AI is doing it, then it's just like then Drake is not like he's not Drake anymore.
right,
So of course
he's
Drake
no
is going to
longer
have something,
useful.
and he has every right to be like, dude, you can't do that.
Right.
Mhm.
It's a very like finicky, weird thing, but I do, yeah, I'm glad they're putting it into like a bigger picture discussion in like contract talks and stuff like that. It's like, you know,
Mhm.
it's very much so big right now, so relevant, especially in the entertainment world. Um, that yeah, like I'm just glad we're covering bases and stuff like that on all ends. Actors
Yeah,
need their bases covered as well. And yeah, you know, maybe they get paid a little a little too much to some of us for what they do, but this is an actors guild thing where it's gonna affect way more than just like the big A-list actors. It's gonna affect all the actors that are in that Actors Guild of America, which is like quite a few.
yeah. I mean, this is it's. I mean, I'm kind of intrigued on how this is going to play out because I mean, now you have actors and writers going on strike. So, I mean, either these production companies are going to be like, okay, let's AI everything. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just, I mean, I'm for the writers and actors because I always feel like, to be honest, I mean, we only hear about the A-listers, but there's a lot of people that do things like they're smaller known actors, lesser known actors, or like writers. I know like a lot of them, despite making one of the biggest movies slash songs, they don't get compensated, in my opinion, properly. Yeah, so more power to them. And I think also this is the issue that I think Scarlett Johansson had when Black Widow came out. Because Black Widow, I think like
It
it
went
went to
straight to
streaming.
streaming.
It went
Yeah.
streaming super early or something like that. And then I think she wanted more time to be in theaters because I think her contract covers like ticket sales in theaters but
Right.
not streaming numbers. So it's just kind of like she's just like, wait, like, and I think it's that was a weird situation too because also those that was during that time of COVID.
Right.
So yeah, I think yeah,
I think part of it, yeah, was I am that like it was her understanding initially when she was gonna like make the Black Widow film that it wasn't going to be a part of streaming at all. Now I don't know if that's just because like Disney Plus wasn't even really a thing yet when they were originally talking about it or what, but by the time that it was released, I think it was I don't even think it came out in theaters. Did it come out in theaters too?
yeah, I saw it in the
Oh,
theaters.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just the
Um
amount of time it was in theaters because, like I said, I don't think they promoted it as well. I think it was also one of those things that like the time it was released in theaters, it was also they offered like you can watch it on streaming for an extra fee. I think I don't
right.
know, like my memory's hazy, and I might need to look into it. But like I think that's what happened. It was like
They were doing that stuff for a
yeah,
minute
it was
too.
either simultaneous or there. I mean, I know it was like very close. Like they didn't give
Right.
it like a lot of time before it hit the streaming site.
Right. And basically, yeah, like you had said, she has something in her contract that's based on ticket sales, and they just
Hmm.
basically made it so that Black Widow had as limited of like a box office run as possible,
Exactly. Yeah.
and everything was basically generated through streaming, and she didn't get compensated in the right ways, she felt. And I think that was her making that statement was like the precipice of what's going on here. I think that was like the start of everything
Hmm.
that they're talking about right now, basically, in terms of at least like the streaming part of it, and how it's affecting actors and stuff.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah. I mean, I love TV, film, and whatnot, and I think a lot of there's a lot of like weird conspiracy crazy stuff that goes on in that world, but at the same time there's a lot of them that are just actors and actresses just trying to make a living and still be able to do what they're passionate about, which is acting, and they just want to be able to do it like securely. They want to have they want to have like the security in mind that they're not going to get shafted every time at left and right. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
but fight on, guys.
While we're on it, let's move on to while we're on the streaming topics. Disney CEO admits they'll make less Star Wars 11 years after $4 billion Lucasfilm purchase. Now this is Bob Iger's.
I wonder if they count for inflation what it is in that numbers today, because I mean, to purchase Lucasfilms would have been really a big price tag today.
I wonder if they translate that purchase price here, and I doubt. No, I don't see anything of them.
$4 billion is still a lot of money. It's more money than I've ever seen in my life.
Right, and it's Bob Iger saying this, and he basically didn't. I don't think he was just saying about Star Wars specifically. I think he was more so talking about Marvel, Star Wars, and the entirety of their like streaming catalog has just gotten over flooded with content to a point that nothing's really like profiting anymore, they feel like, and they need to like start trying, and nothing's really like appealing to audiences really anymore, because there's just like too much content and whatnot. And so it's more so like the Lucasfilm purchase on the whole has kind of like put them back a little bit. Like Indiana Jones is also not done as well when they've put out new Indiana Jones films. They Willow is something they gained from Lucasfilm, and they totally botched the Willow show. People were, or I don't know about botched, but it didn't get good reviews. A lot of people didn't watch it, myself included. And so it's like too much content, not just Star Wars, Marvel, everything, but I mean, I think the Star Wars one was the biggest purchase that they've made that is costing them like basically tons of money, because they can't keep the fan base. The fan base has been betrayed too many times and whatnot by floods of content that don't feel like they accurately portray the universe that was built in for them, you know.
I don't know. I've been, because I do hear good things about the Mandalorian, but I think Obi-Wan
Kenobi, show out of the like 8 that they've produced.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I haven't heard any buzz about.
Well, it got mixed reviews, and I would even give it mixed reviews too, and I was really
Obi-Wan
excited
Kenobi?
about it. Yeah. I was really excited about it, but it just kind of dragged on, and it was mostly about like little kid Leia and Luke, and less about like Obi-Wan. And I don't know, I just didn't connect with it like I thought I was gonna. And I think that in itself is like a testament to them slowly messing things up, because I had such an excitement for Obi-Wan. Like I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. The fact that him and Hayden Christensen were both coming back for their roles like had me beyond excited, and they still like couldn't put it together in a way that I liked. And it's like I just want to see Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan again. Like they made him this weird like cave dweller, hermit, sad version of himself and stuff like that. And then they focus the show on like the kids and stuff. And it's like, this little girl's not that good of an actress. I don't know why we're watching her this whole freaking episode. Like certain things, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, do you think I'm Not a Stormtrooper? Is that what the fan base is called for Star Wars?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just made that up, but no, I like Star Wars. I'm not like a true diehard fan, but when a movie does come out, I am gonna catch it. But do you think they should just narrow it down and focus on just producing movies or just TV shows, or what do you think the solution to this should be? Or is this a thing that they just put too much chefs in the kitchen, or
It might be a little too many chefs in the kitchen type thing. I think they're also like I think they're getting good directors and whatnot. Like this is like I'll use Marvel as the perfect example in my eyes, where they're getting like good directors like Sam Raimi and stuff, yet still completely failing me in that movie, like as a very specific example. Still getting like really really great directors, and so like with Star Wars, same thing, like J.J. Abrams and whatnot. But do I get the sense that they're as passionate about that specific franchise as like James Gunn? The reason Guardians of the Galaxy and all the DC shit are going to probably actually be good is because of James Gunn. James Gunn is passionate about DC and Marvel and superheroes and stuff like that, to a point that he really, 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 like Kevin Feige originally, really, really wanted to like have things done right and whatnot. I don't know where it got messed up with Feige. I think it's because he was told to like just start producing more shows and stuff like that. But like the basically, and like I can't say this because I don't know anything about what James Gunn's DC is really going to be, but just based on what I've seen so far, it looks like it's promising. I just think like they're getting big name directors and stuff for Star Wars, but not necessarily people that are passionate about it, or at least like not passionate about what the material they've been told they have to try to like bring to the table. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Like,
I think I get it. Yeah, I think this is like the issue of like, I think when passion meets business, and those teams sometimes don't mesh well, because I think a lot of times, like let's say Disney, or telling like the people at Lucasfilm Studios, just be like, hey, we need a TV show for this new streaming site we were trying to make and try to take off the ground, and then they're just like, that wasn't really part of our, on our project board, but like, I guess we could try to fit it in somewhere. But, and then do you think, yeah, I think I get what you mean.
Right. And it's like another perfect example.
Because I'll give you an example, because when you did bring up Marvel on superheroes, I am a big Marvel fan. So I'll touch upon that. The big thing that I think the Marvel films nowadays lacking, I think they're just making movies to set up the next movie. I've always said this about the newer Marvel movies. It doesn't seem like they're just trying to make a good movie. It just always seems like they're just trying to jam pack it with cameos and Easter eggs and fan service, and try to set up the next movies, to the point where it's just like, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. It's just I get the fact that like it's this whole cinematic universe, and you're technically supposed to set up the next movie, but it's just, I think there's a little more concentrated on that. They're trying to do things too fast. They're trying to look more down the line. It's like a coach preparing for next week's game instead of trying to just coaching today's game.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just kind of, that's where I feel like the direction is headed. And I haven't caught Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is my bad. But yeah. But like, I think that's the problem that Marvel's having right now. It's just like, they're just either that, or just people are just like really in a Marvel fatigue right now. Is just, they've just been stuffed so full of content from them. It's just like, I just can't take anymore. Just give me a little bit of a break before I come back. That might have to do with a factor, but I don't know. It just sometimes
it's definitely
that's what I just when I watch the movies, I'm just like, boy, they're desperately trying to set up that next movie, because they just have this now with the purchase of Fox properties like X-Men and Fantastic Four. I feel like they're trying to figure out a way to introduce them into this world, and it just feels like they're just trying to concentrate more on that, as opposed to just concentrating on, like you said, Doctor Strange and
Right. And like, yeah, each one of them should have their own kind of focus. And then when they it's like in the actual comics, they all had their own little like storylines going on, but then there would be just like one or two. It was like the Avengers movies, like the original Marvel Cinematic Universe before like Infinity War and stuff. The original Avengers, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Scarlet, the Archer guy,
Hawkeye.
Yeah,
The Archer guy, Hawkeye, and then Black Widow.
Black Widow. Yeah, that group, they each had their own movies that had their own storylines that weren't like talking about the next movie's storyline, except for like the last credit scene, like the end credit scene. Otherwise, it was like they took place in their own world. And then in Avengers, it's like all these worlds are colliding. Now it's like all these worlds are colliding all the time. There's no like, oh wow, now these two are meeting. It's like, no, they already saw each other and they're gonna see each other again, and it's setting up for the next time that they'll see each other.
Yeah. And what I mean by like them concentrating the movie is like example was like Black Panther and Guardians of the Galaxy. Like comic book wise, I know of them, but I just seldom knew anything about them truly. Like I could tell you like, oh, Black Panther, yeah, he's like that dude in the Black Panther suit. But like when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I was just blown away. I was just like introduced to a new team that just like I fell in love with. And also Black Panther, I was like, dude, this is dope. I'm a fan of this. But that's what I mean by like them, how they introduced him. It was just like I felt like it more so concentrated on the character as opposed to being like Black Panther's only here to set up, I don't know, Wolverine. You know, it's just not. I mean, it doesn't
right
work that
now.
way.
It's more about like circumstances and
yeah.
the
So it's just kind of that's what I feel is going on, and it's hard to not see it sometimes. But yeah.
I think back to like the Star Wars thing, part of where I get messed up is that like what I was saying about the directors and not being passionate or whatever is that like for a great example, the movies that we had already spoken about previously, the final trilogy 7, 8, and 9. 7 is directed by J.J. Abrams, 8 by Rian Johnson, 9 by J.J. Abrams. And that's because they were originally going to do all 3 with different directors. Then after the second one was done with a different director, and they realized that it was so like weird because basically one director doesn't have the same director's vision. And so like when they transitioned from 7 to 8, like the story kind of got confusing because the directors didn't understand what the other wanted. Like,
is it when Princess Leia blew up and then she flew back using the Force?
I think I think so.
Yeah.
And and that one I thought that one was super confusing. And it was basically like, because J.J. Abrams had a specific vision that he was going to like take it on. And then Rian Johnson was like, I don't know that it's exactly how it happened, but there was definitely things that like Rian Johnson wanted to do to like make it his own and change it to his direction and stuff. But then because people were so confused and weird about that, they were like, okay, we're not going to do like a third director for the third movie. We're going to bring J.J. Abrams back. And so like it almost got even weirder because J.J. Abrams then wanted to like revert some of the changes or something that Rian Johnson had made in order to make their vision still come true. It was just very confusing to me. I did not like those movies because of it just felt very confusing the whole time. And it felt like that was mostly due to Disney being very confusing with their directors. And like it's not also the director's faults either. Like they're being directed by Disney also, but like shit just got weird.
Yeah, I did like the plot lines that was set up from 7.
Yes,
I stormtrooper that turns good. It's like they had very
that's why
plot lines. Yeah,
right. And that's like, why I said last time, like I did like 7 out of the 3. I like 7 the most. Like, yeah, they did set up good plot lines for sure.
But yeah, I mean, did J.J. Abrams direct Rogue One?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But like the stormtrooper, they could have done so much more with Finn. Finn got shafted.
That's the stormtrooper that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was
because they were
It could
trying to
have been
set up
a
a love line between
stormtrooper.
him and
Rose.
Paladin's daughter.
Oh yeah, Ray.
Yeah, Ray, and just like it, just okay. This went nowhere because there was a lot of sexual tension there, but it was just like, oh, nothing's happening.
Right. And that I think is partly due to like when Rian Johnson took the reins, he basically took Finn and was like, I like just gonna do something completely different with that character.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, damn, dude. I mean, I think they really messed up by trying to switch directors. I think like there's a possibility 7, 8, and 9 could have come out better if they had just stayed with J.J. Abrams the whole time, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is that Disney is saying they're creating too much streaming content in general, both Marvel uh, and Star Wars, and they want to pull back on so much of their streaming content. It's too much.
Yeah. I don't know. It's as long as the content's good, I don't mind too much content, but I haven't caught a lot of that stuff.
Well, I think that's where he's coming from, is that it's like they're sacrificing good content for more content.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I just know that I don't know. I'll go back to Marvel. Like it's failed to capture any of that magic since like the end of Phase 3, But what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't watched the new Ant-Man. I know that it's supposed to just be basically setting up the next, and that's another point you were making earlier. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Are they making a new Star Wars though? A new like trilogy?
No, there was talks about remaking the trilogy. There was talks about that last trilogy, just like nixing it, essentially calling it like a legacy trilogy or something like that, and making it like an alternate universe like trilogy. But
like what if Darth Vader was good?
No, like they were gonna make 7, 8, and 9 that are currently out. They were gonna basically say like, oh, people hated them so much, we're not even gonna count them as actually like the finish of the Skywalker legacy. We'll call them a different trilogy, and then remake a whole new 7, 8, and 9 that people will like. But I think that was bullshit, and I don't think that's happening anymore. Especially with like Bob Iger coming back. I think that was part of one of their solutions before Iger came back. And yeah, I mean, they're still producing Star Wars like shows and stuff, but as far as I know, like for movies and whatnot, they're not really coming out with anything for a while. They're releasing Ahsoka right now. Everybody's kind of excited about Ahsoka. It has the same kind of hype that Kenobi had.
What's Ahsoka? Is that a character who's Ahsoka?
Ahsoka, you've probably seen pictures of her if you haven't watched like the Clone Wars shows and stuff, but she's like this, she's kind of got like red skin and like blue and white, like tentacle hair things. It's like two big, like the Star Wars aliens that have like the two big like tentacles that come down like hair. She has like that with the like blue and white stripes down it.
Oh, okay.
But she, in the Star Wars lore, her characters are introduced in the Clone Wars cartoon movie and show, and comes back in the Rebels cartoon. But she is Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. She's Anakin Skywalker's Padawan when he's like peak Skywalker, just before he becomes Darth Vader. He has a Padawan, and she is actually like supposedly in some lores that people will accept and stuff like that. She is the first like gray Jedi, which is like the first neutral Jedi where she's not Sith or Jedi. She's just like very neutral. And I think there's something to do with like the fact that Anakin is her sensei or her master or whatever. And he goes from being like good to evil, and she's his Padawan during like his transitional years. So she has a lot of like questioning the Jedi's motives and stuff like that from him and whatnot. But Ahsoka is a TV show coming out now that she's like an adult. It's the live action. We've never seen Ahsoka in live action before. And it's being portrayed by Rosario Dawson, who everybody like fan cast her before people were fan casting people. Like she was one of the first fan casts, and she actually got it. Yeah,
big fan of her. She was dope in 25th Hour.
She's wanted this part since people were fan casting her, and the show came like the first cartoon series came out in like 2010, and people have been fan casting her since then. They've been like Rosario Dawson to be the perfect Ahsoka, and she's been like, yes, I'm all about it. And then now they're doing live action spin-offs and stuff. They gave her own show. It's like it's so cool watching it all kind of like come together. We can wrap it up here. Hey guys, it's been good. It's been fun. Thanks for talking, video games and movies. I don't even, we didn't even talk video games. Thanks for talking movies. Thanks for talking all kinds of stuff with us, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. And until next week, keep it weird. Like, subscribe, follow, and tell all your friends and family. We need your money, all that good stuff. Peace.